Great. Coach, Michigan Tech, one of the few teams you haven't seen yet this year. What are you prepping for?
Yeah, you're right, Claire. It's the only team we haven't played up to this point in the season. We've played more than a few teams 2 times. We haven't played Tech at all, so we know it's going to be a difficult task. They're really good. They're really good at home. They're in second place in our league for a reason. They're ranked in the top 10 or whatever nationally for a reason. So it'll be a tough task. They've got an experienced team that knows how they want to play, and they're really good at home. And this weekend with the 100th anniversary or the 100th Winter Carnival, it'll be a really, really fun atmosphere for our guys.
You guys have faced so many tough opponents this whole season, but especially this last stretch with Minnesota State last weekend, them this weekend. How do you kind of stay focused on playing Falcon hockey?
Yeah, obviously last weekend with Minnesota State, from a win and loss perspective, we didn't get what we wanted. We really believe we went into the series preparing to win, and Friday we played well enough to win, and so our focus is the same this weekend. We know that Michigan Tech is a really good hockey team, and they're chasing Minnesota State to win the league, and we're trying to keep a hold of a home playoff spot. So this is for us, we've said every weekend is the biggest weekend of the year just because of the points that are there. Every weekend we play, there's less and less points available to, figure out where you're going to end up in the standings. And so for us, this is going to be, for all intents and purposes and everything involved, as much like a playoff series as we'll be able to play leading up to the playoffs, because the crowd's going to be, crazy, and it'll be sold out, and the atmosphere will be like playoffs. It's, again, like I said, it's their winter carnival. So we have to prepare the same way we prepared for Minnesota State. We got to do everything. We know we have a healthy respect for our opponent. We know they're going to play hard. We know they're going to be excited. We have to be able to do the same thing. And we believe that playing games like this, playing difficult opponents, is a positive. If we want to be in the conversations that we want to be in around here, we're going to have to play good teams.
With them playing tonight, it's kind of different in the fact that you don't have a game. So do you have any plans to watch the game with the guys, or what's it look like?
I mean, our guys have class and things like that, so and we're only allowed X amount of hours a week with our guys, so I'm sure there'll be a bunch of guys watching the game on their own. We'll watch it as a staff. They played last Tuesday as well. They played at home last Tuesday, so that their rink, we watched that game in their rink. Tonight they play at Northern Michigan, and Northern Michigan's got a Olympic-sized sheet, which is a little bigger. So sometimes you do some things a little differently when you play on those big ice surfaces. But we'll for sure watch, just knowing it'll be that's their big rival. So it'll be I'm sure, a very, very hotly contested game. But yeah, we'll watch. We don't get an opportunity to watch other teams play during the week very often. So we'll be watching for sure.
Any similarities between Minnesota State and Michigan Tech?
This year, I think there are. They both have really solid goaltending. They defend really well. Michigan Tech's both teams' special teams are really good. Michigan Tech's special teams are really, really good. They're like Minnesota State. They're older. They're experienced. They've got a lot of their senior class has been a class that has incrementally got better and better as their careers have gone on, and now they've got a fair amount of seniors that are really significant contributors to them, and juniors that are big pieces of what they want to do. So they're a team that's played a bunch of hard hockey games in our league and played a bunch of tough series, and they've been battle tested, I guess you could say. So I think the similarities are that they're not going to beat themselves. You're going to have to go up there and you're going to have to earn every inch of ice and earn every opportunity, because they're not going to give it to you.
On Saturday, you talked about the effort. You liked the effort in the first period, but then the last 2 periods it kind of went away. What did you learn after studying the tape from Saturday's game?
I learned that I was probably wrong a little bit. When you comment after a game and you just got done playing and you're emotionally invested, sometimes you don't necessarily have the right perspective. We played. That was a game that the first period is what it is, and it's 0-0, and we took a penalty to start the first. We took a penalty to start the second to give them an opportunity. That's not ideal, but we actually outshot Minnesota State in the second period. They didn't have a bunch. It ended up being 3-0, but it wasn't. Normally a 3-0 period looks like 18 shots to 4 or something along those lines, and that wasn't it at all. We actually had some decent opportunities, and we just did a couple things, and it wasn't effort-based. We just did a couple things that ended up in the back of our net, and we talked about some of those things today in our practice and in our video session. So we learned that you know, when you play good teams like Minnesota State or like Michigan Tech or you know, everybody in our league for that matter, these little plays that may seem insignificant at the time, they can end up significant in that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, they can take advantage of that. So we learned we got to be in the moment, out there, and the other thing too is when you play really good teams, we learned that you know you can't guarantee scoring goals is hard enough in college hockey, but then when you play teams that are really, really good and defend really well, it's even harder. So you have to be ready for those opportunities, and then you have to take advantage of them. You can't miss the net, and you can't, you know, fumble a puck and those kinds of things. You got to be in the moment ready to take advantage of those offensive chances.
I mean, you guys faced Dryden last week, another solid goaltender this week. I mean, the CCHA never sleeps when it comes to offering defense against you guys.
No, you know, I know that in our sport, because there's only, you know, there's not 300 Division I hockey teams or 100 Division I hockey teams. There's 59, and you know we've only got 6 leagues. We believe that our league, top to bottom, is really hard. It's a bunch of guys that play really hard and a bunch of coaches that coach really hard, and to your point, Corey, a bunch of goalies that are good. I mean, there's just good goalies in our league, and then teams that may or may not have good goalies, they defend really hard. You know, everybody values defending in our league, and we may not, from top to bottom in our league, maybe don't have the first round draft picks that say another team does, but we have a bunch of players that play hard and defend, and so it's no surprise when you're going up against a good goalie. And in these last 2 weeks, it's a case where they just happen to be 2 good goalies that are older too, so they played a bunch of hockey. I think Pietila has been pretty much the starting guy since, you know, part of his freshman year. At least last year for sure he was the starting guy, and he's back there again, and so he's experienced just like McKay was, and he's been through a bunch of scenarios, and he understands, you know, what college hockey and what CCHA hockey is all about.
A guy that may be working towards that for you, Christian Stover. You mentioned on Saturday you were pleased with the way he performed over the weekend. I mean, 5 goals may look kind of ugly on the stat sheet, but he had a pretty good series over the weekend. Just tell us about how he's kind of coming into his own over these last few weeks, and especially since Zach went down.
Yeah, well, you know, Friday night, basically he gave up 2 goals. It's a 2-1 game with an empty netter real late. So he played well, and he had to play well early when we hadn't gotten our legs under us, and so he did a really good job. And then, you know, when you look at the tape today and yesterday, and you watch the goals that were scored in the second period, it wasn't Christian Stover. It would be real easy to say, geez, they got 6 shots and you gave up 3 goals. Your goalie must have been. That wasn't the case. You know, the first one's a one-timer that goes from one side of the rink to the other side of the rink, and you know, and it was a power play goal as well. So we made a good play. We had the puck on our stick, and we thought we had a chance to create something offensively on the penalty kill, but the numbers really didn't dictate that. We probably should have dumped that puck and got off, and then now we got to come back and they make a good play, and then we were in our D zone and we turned a puck over behind the net, and they threw a puck out to the front where we just lost coverage. So it's a bing bang. He doesn't have a chance at that puck, and then the one that slid under his pad a little bit. He probably believes that that's a puck he should have, but there were other things that led to that. So yeah, I agree with you, Corey. Christian's done a really good job in a difficult spot. You know, I know every goalie wants to play all the time, but I'm not so sure he envisioned coming in here and you know, being the guy and just running with it and all that kind of stuff. I think that was his hope, but now it's reality, and he's doing a good job handling it.
We're late in the season now with playoffs obviously around the corner. You know, some players might be experiencing a little fatigue. How do you kind of keep them fresh this time of year?
Well, we obviously don't practice as long as we did early in the year. We've limited the contact. You know, when we have guys that are quote unquote the no contact jersey, it's our red jersey, and we had 3 guys out there in red today because they're banged up a little bit. So we want to limit that. Make sure guys. We want to have competitive drills, and we want to have drills that raise the competitive level in practice, but we also have to be mindful of it's a long year for us, and guys get wore down, and as you guys know, the travel in our league is, you know, we're going to be on the bus for 10 hours on Wednesday night, and then we're going to come home and then we play at home, and then we get a close trip that's 6 hours to Lake Superior State. So, and it's the same for everybody. It's not an issue for us, but you do have to be mindful of how long you practice and how much contact. And we'll give, we're going to do our team picture on Monday, so we'll have Monday off. So you have a few more off days and shorten practice, and maybe guys have to alter their lifting schedule a little bit just so they can be fresh. And our practices the last 2 days have been good, even though the results on the weekend from a winning and losing perspective weren't great. Our guys showed up yesterday and had a good day and had a really good day today.
Sam had that 10-minute called on him at the end of Saturday. Will we see him this Friday?
Yeah, he'll be back in there. We have an in-house rule that if you get a 10-minute misconduct for something you say to the official, we have you go off the ice. You've crossed the line and you need to go off, and the ref just sent him off. In that situation, it's difficult to be a referee. We understand that. He just said he had enough of what was going on in his mind. The game was decided, and he had just, all right, I'm not listening to anything else. You're done. And it's unfortunate that those kinds of things happen. And our guys care, and they're invested, and they work, and sometimes frustrations come out. But yeah, Sam will be fine.